focus so much on relaxed home education and allowing our children to be involved in the discussion process of choosing what curriculum and following direction, the child's delight and those sort of things. I think that it's important for us to perhaps bring the swing side to that discussion, because we wouldn't want to have parents think that it's all about the child only. We have in both our homes and our homeschooling space, there are like no-go spaces. These are the minimum standards. These are the boundaries. And sometimes, in fact, we should often get our children to do hard things in a loving manner. And also we as homeschool moms need to embrace things that are hard for us. And we'll have the caveat and say, just by choosing to homeschool, that's hard. But I thought that we could maybe focus on how to encourage our children to do hard things, and that we as moms can choose our hard. Because, sending our children to school, it's hard. You up early and you've got homework until late and you've got to go to PTA meetings and sports and it's expensive and it's just, that's hard. Choosing to homeschool, where you sacrificially putting aside huge chunks of your time to rather build a relationship with your kids and research and find, and some people like you and I both had to give up careers to homeschool. That's also hard. So what are your initial thoughts on that as a topic?
Yeah, it's a hard topic. But yeah, I think, sorry for that, but it is a hard topic because it makes us even look at our own struggles. And, like you say, you've got to choose your hard. And I think I'll start with encouraging children. I've actually said to a kid at a point when they were struggling with something and sort of saying, why must I do this? I'm saying, because if it was easy, you probably wouldn't be learning anything new, because you actually know how to do whatever it is, if it's a maths problem or a grammar exercise, whatever it is. But it's because it's a struggle that you're going to develop something and learn a new skill and overcome your inability to do it right now. And it is hard, but it's not only about the skill you're learning the lesson in perseverance, because a winner never quits and quitters never win, and so sometimes it's not only the lesson that you have to push through that's hard, but it's this lack of character skill, that lack of character that your child has, that you've got to encourage them to overcome. And often that's more valuable than learning the long division or whatever it is that they're struggling with. Yeah. And I suppose that also applies to us as the parents. Sometimes we just have to persevere with, training these little rebellious children that give us nightmares and stress us out. And we have to be patient and persevere. And that's our hard. Yeah. And we have to try and encourage them and motivate them and win their trust and their confidence when they're struggling and feeling rebellious towards us. So it's a challenge for everybody concerned.
In fact, I think I saw the other day just on an email that you and I had, you had a quote. I'll see if I can find it when you're chatting in a minute. But, it's always a test. How we respond to things is the test of our character. So I was thinking about some situations going through your parenting and your homeschooling with your kids. And it's not like we want everybody to throw in the towel when a curriculum, for example, is not working. But you can either choose to count the cost and say, okay, well, that's wasted money and that's a really hard thing to do, or you can push through and finish off and try and get your value of your bang for your buck out of it. And that's also hard because it might be chafing a little bit and you might have to add in supplementary things and readjust it. That's also hard, so there is a lot of space for that. I was thinking back to when we tried to teach one of our children to read, and it was just really, really hard going. And I knew that this was not a character issue, because the desire to read was there. And it was super hard for me to say, okay, let's just put this down and take a step back and figure out what is going on here. And it turned out that with testing that that child had dyslexia. And it was hard for us to then follow the advice that we decided to take, which ran against the, do the OT, do the this, do the special programs, and give him, 3 or 4 more years to develop and then try again. And that was hard too, because all your friends' kids are learning to read and they are 8 and 9, and your kid is like coming to 12 and they haven't, and that's hard. So if I'd chosen to spend all that money on curriculum and programs when he was little and taking him for specialist treatment, you have to weigh these things up. What battle, what are we prepared to fight? Because not fighting a battle is hard, because you've got to bite your tongue, and fighting a battle is hard because you've got to really put your shoulder to the wheel. Were there any situations that you can think of? I mean, you've shared the maths thing, but were there any others that you kind of were like, whoa, this is too hard, or no, we need to push through?
Let me think. I think with curriculum, I generally would push through till the end of a given year. But that was when I was really new to homeschooling. And it was, also the fact that there wasn't finances to just drop what we had and just try another one until we found what we liked. So I had to test and try things slowly, year by year. But I tried not to spend too much, so we didn't actually have too much that wasn't working for us as well. And I think that's good advice for any new homeschoolers, is to just buy the basics. Don't go and spend thousands of rands on something that seems to have all the bells and whistles and all the fancy extras. You need to teach your kids to read, you need to teach them maths, and you probably need to read them some stories and do some social studies.
Yeah.
So stick with the basics, and then slowly you can add in extras if you want, which is what we always advise. In some seasons we added in an extra art curriculum. In another season, we all did music lessons and we, developed musical talents. In another season, we had time for, science programs with experiments and DVDs and all kinds of things. And in other seasons, we just did the minimum and survived, because whatever was happening in our lives was just too much. So I think what we're saying is, there's no formula. We've all got hard choices to make at times. And I think the thing is just to be mindful that, whatever you do, you need to think through the pros and the cons for your child and the situation and your budget and your curriculum and your life, whether you've got babies or toddlers or elderly parents or you're running a business. We all got different challenges in different seasons. And like your topic said, choose your heart, but don't think that there's something wrong with you because you're facing hard things. This is just a normal part of parenting and homeschooling and actually life. It is hard.
It is. And I think it's getting harder as well. And the point that I thought was valid is that at the center of everything is the relationship you have with your child and the other people around you. So if you've got these two things, which one shall I choose? If you put the relationship in the center and you ask yourself, which is going to build relationship more, trust, character, all that sort of thing, that is probably where you want to lean towards, as versus pushing through and destroying relationship. For instance, if that were the situation. I found that quote, and it was one by John Holt that you put on an email, and it's: the true test of character is not how much we know how to do, but how we behave when we don't know what to do. So I thought that was quite a good one, because just another question that was asked recently on Facebook was about what school leaving certificate this child should go for. The mom was very, very uncertain whether they should hook into CAPS at grade 9, whether they should wait and do GED when the child was about 17, or whether they should start grade 10 and go with Cambridge. And there was so much advice coming that it could make it quite confusing, like, which one do I do? Each of them are hard, you know, da 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 da. And at the end of the day, what sustains a child through any of those choices, as it sustains us through our day-to-day sacrificial act of homeschooling and parenting and caring for our home and all that sort of thing, is your character. So, you know, if I choose to do the right thing, my character is built and it is encouraged next time. And next time it's easier. So I used to always say to my kids, you know, I understand like this page of calculus or this page of whatever, when they were little, learning to write and hold pencil properly and form their letters, it's hard. But, and when we did our veggie garden and the kids had to build the fences and move the logs and dig in the compost, it was hard. But all those little lessons add up. So by the time that you're an adult, you can face the boss that is hard, or, you know, pull those extra hours for your work because you've learned it already back when you were a kid. So yeah, choosing your heart, all of it feeds into character at the end of the day. You look like you want to add something.
It's a good point, though, that it's a good point. I just want to highlight what you said already, that what you do that's hard today is generally going to be easier or better the next time. And that's also something to use to encourage our children when they are struggling.
Definitely.
And I think we can also share with them things that we have struggled with ourselves in the past or when we were kids, to encourage them that they realize that this is just part of life and developing and growing and maturing. It's hard.
Yeah, for sure. And be patient with the process. Great. Thanks for chatting.